helping you do other things and even helping you with your inbox. There's pretty good AIs now that'll organize your email, help you start responses, tell you which ones you need to respond to, which ones you can ignore. And a lot of us spend too much of our day in that parallel processing. What's phone, email, work, this, answer the phone, do this, which really slows down our productivity. So I think the big thing is most businesses before using AI, they have the manual everything problem. They've got that inbox driven operations problem. And usually the owner is still a bottleneck, even if they have good processes. But a lot of those can be remedied with a good AI implementation.
Yeah. What's your favorite email one you use?
I don't love, if I'm honest, I don't love the email ones typically. I actually just have, what's the one where it was Marbleism. I do let Marbleism organize my emails for me.
Yeah.
I'll tell you though, is it the Gmail added a new, I think it's an AI editor that makes recommendations. It's actually pretty good. That's maybe my favorite thing. So now I go to my emails and if this could be more succinct and this could be more direct. And I would say 80% of the time I agree with his recommendations. And
Yeah.
I actually went to college for English. So I'm usually
Oh,
consider myself a pretty good writer, even if I'm a little too direct. But I'm
wow.
okay. Yeah, you're not wrong. But yeah, I just use Marbleism. So I tried out, I don't even remember the name of the tools. I tried out two or three of them. One of them just broke my inbox. I can't remember which one, but I got to the point where I just couldn't even answer emails correctly. The AI was messing stuff up. And Marbleism's fine. She organizes things based on what she thinks is things you should respond to, or what are leads, or what's important, or what's not. And you can work with her on that to make her a little bit better. And then she pre-crafts responses and gets better and better as long as you keep working with those responses. And I would say it's hard because for a lot of me, it's responding with knowledge that the AI doesn't have. So it's only probably useful for the responses 20% of the time. But
Yeah.
overall, it's not bad. And I think they're going to keep getting better. And again, I think you're also just going to see them implemented in your standard email tools where a year from now, it's going to automatically organize your inbox and help you
Yeah.
out in initial response and just keep getting better and better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't trust it yet because I don't want it to crash my Gmail, but yeah, exactly.
Marbleism, I've had no problems with, honestly. Like I said,
Yeah.
Marbleism, really inexpensive, really solid. Not amazing, not blowing me away. I've had some problems, but for an out of the box, really inexpensive tool that's your pre-made office management kit, they should start giving me some sort of a kickback
Yeah.
too, because I talk about
Yeah,
it all
you just gave
the
them a great ad. Yeah. You can be
yeah,
an influencer.
but I do use them. I do them, and I think they're. I guess she is their, is it their secretary, their receptionist? They all have titles. Whatever
Yeah.
she is, she does a solid job. She really doesn't. She hasn't broken anything yet. She hasn't driven me crazy with anything yet. It's just in there, and it's really easy to delete. I think that was the problem with the other tools. They're really one of the big tools out there, and I tried it, and I almost couldn't delete the responses. It was the drafts were showing up in the email before, and then when you went to respond, it was showing up in the email chain, even though you had deleted it. And I was like, I
Oh,
don't want that in my email chain.
yeah.
So that was a bit
Exactly.
much, but
Yeah.
yeah, they'll keep going and they'll keep getting better. I think it's everything else. 5 years ago, we were using it was Jarvis then, and then it changed it to Jasper. So got in trouble or whatever, but and it was pretty terrible for writing blogs and writing ads. But 1 out of 10 things that I get right, and now these days, I mean, they're 95% on point.
Mhm.
So the email thing, I'm sure we'll get the same way, or within a few years, it'll be really, really useful. Right now, jury's still out.
Exactly. And then what's the first noticeable change after AI is implemented?
Yes, I think one of the big things is just faster response times because you can use these tools to not only organize your stuff and tree write responses, but in some cases, especially when we're talking about chat and phone AI and chat AI, voice AI, they're all pretty good if you train them well. So, I mean, you have the ability now to answer the phone faster, get to people faster, respond to them faster, both in message and in voice. And I think one good example, and I do think we talked about this, is when I gave that talk a couple of weeks ago, and the girl said, "Yeah, the local restaurant that used AI to take reservations," and she was the first time it threw me off, but now I can make a reservation any time of day, any day of the week. It's tied into their calendar, so if I want to know on Sunday night if I can get a table on Tuesday and the restaurant's not open Sunday or Monday, I don't have to wait until Tuesday to figure out if that's the restaurant for my Tuesday dinner anymore. And I think those things have huge impacts on your business. I know that business really well, and just the lack of people answering the phone half the time, even when you are open, they're busy. And people not being able to get that reservation does cost you business. They don't want to wait 2 days to figure out if they can bring the person they're trying to take out to dinner on that day. I think less chaos on your average daily tasks. So we talked about email organization. I've talked about calendar. I use Motion. I just put all my tasks in and then it just automatically arranges them for me based on the parameters I put in, so I don't have to think every day once something's done, what's next. I think we talked about before, if you're manually transferring invoices to a piece of software, you can get rid of that with AI. If you're spending the whole every day analyzing a report, you can cut that down by 75% with AI. So I think all these standard daily tasks that take up a lot of your time, even voice AI, we don't advertise most of our brands, so we don't get a ton of phone calls, but we get enough. But we also get all those, your Google listing isn't verified. Just cutting that out of my day completely is really helpful when you're talking about annoying, chaotic daily things that you can get rid of. And I think the other thing is preventing things from falling through the cracks. We used to be really bad, honestly, internally about running pipelines and tracking leads. And we have great internal project management for clients. But before people hit that client stage, we were terrible about it. Then we implemented a CRM, which has been helpful. But then on top of that, you've got AI. Marbles, and we'll go back to that again. There's a sales guy, and he'll be like, hey, here's your leads for today. Did you check on this one yet? The thing. So that one's not ideal, but I think in any CRM now you can set up these automatic, easy AI reminders, AI follow-ups, and you can have better follow-ups. So it's not just a standard message anymore. You can now connect your CRM to your trained GPT or something and say, okay, if I've answered this within a day, then you send out an answer based on the parameters I've given you and send them something that's actually useful and respond and keep this relationship and conversation going. So I would say those are the three big things you're going to notice when you implement AI in a business is the faster response times, less of these chaotic daily tasks that take up all your time and the day seems to disappear, and fewer things falling through the cracks because AI is your back-end office manager. SEO is a great example. We use a tool now that just scans our clients' websites and does SEO and constantly sends us reminders of this is what you should probably be doing. So it's great. You can't miss those anymore. And I think those things are really useful.
Amazing. And then how does lead handling change before versus after AI?
Yeah, so I think the big thing before is falling through the cracks is a big one we talked about. I'd go through and clean out my email and be, oh yeah, that person messaged me 2 months ago and I answered them really quick and then never followed up with them. And not that I dropped them, they didn't come back with me either, but there's definitely been cases where now I go back through our CRM or I use AI to help me go through and leverage that. And I send an extra follow-up email and that person's like, oh yeah, let's go. So definitely closing more leads because you are letting less things fall through the cracks. I think faster responses. Every study ever now shows that was at a minute. I think that you get an 80 times chance of closing somebody or converting someone if you answer them within 1 minute, which basically means someone is answering your phone and your messages at all times. And really, the only way to effectively do that is with leveraging some help from some tools in AI. There's no other way that you can consistently get back to somebody in a minute. You've got to sleep, your team's got to sleep. And frankly, even if you're leveraging international teams, which we do for certain things, then you get communication barriers and all sorts of problems. So I think really the only way to fix that delayed response issue or people falling through the cracks issue, because no one answers at all, then after a minute or two, they usually go to the next thing in Google. To handle those things is really implementing AI. And then basically just the overall conversion rate lift you get from all those different pieces. So you've got faster responses, you've got more consistent follow-up, people aren't falling through the cracks. You've got more personalized follow-up now. You can implement an AI tool that goes in and does more than just send them an automated email. It used to be you could say, oh, well, if this person doesn't answer me or I don't answer them in a day, send them this automated email message, then put their name in it. But now you've got an AI that you can say, this is how we do it. It can obviously see the other emails if you want to let it and go through and say, okay, what's a good value-driven response to send this person to follow up with and say, hey, haven't heard from you in 2 days. I wanted to send you this article or I wanted to send you this case study or this piece of information based on the things we've talked about in our earlier emails. This makes sense. And I thought it would be useful to you. It's a whole nother world there as far as your lead follow-up, which all comes together to really improve your lead conversion rates. And I think really just customer satisfaction. As much as there are some people hesitant about AI, there's more people hesitant about you not answering them for 5 days. It's a pretty fair trade-off there.
Yeah, exactly. And then how does the sales process feel different once AI is introduced?
Yeah, so I think before you do that, and again, this is the first topic we talked about, processes too. If you don't have processes in place, AI doesn't work. And if you don't have processes in place, then sales doesn't work and other issues that don't work. So if you don't have sales scripts, if you don't have consistent things, you have that reactive and consistent sales process to begin with, which is problematic. But if you do have those scripts and those processes in place and you know how you're handling people, then you can use AI to drive that and make it even more consistent, because now you have this assistant that can help your salespeople follow up, that can magnify the good salespeople that are following the processes and make them better, and give people a more consistent experience when they're dealing with your salespeople. And again, not just waiting for inboxes to trigger things. So I think if you get that in, you've got this structured, repeatable sales process that's reinforced by AI that's going to come in and say, okay, this is how we do things. And I think there's a really good example. I was helping somebody in my business networking group the other day, and he was running some things the way I after we talked about it, and it came back and it was, you need these 6 steps, because if you get to the 6th step and you're not sure, it's because you skipped a step and now you got to go back. And I was like, this is how important it is to make these processes. And I was like, yeah, I agree. It basically was him going to someone and giving them a quote and building up to the sale. And it was like, hey, all of these steps matter. And if you get to that last step and you don't feel confident in asking for the sale, it's because you didn't do one of them right. So tools like AI can go in and do that. And tools like AI can go in and analyze sales calls or phone conversations or emails you've sent out after the fact and be like, yeah, you missed step 4, or you could have done this a little bit differently. And these are the things that'll make you better. Maybe you forgot that you had this conversation before. Then it can really help you do that, prepare your notes. Whenever I get on a webinar now, or most of my client calls, I have a little AI note recorder. A lot of us have them built into Zoom or whatever else, where it gives you the key points of the notes at the end of the call, and you can turn that into useful information or action items. Again, all things that make processes, especially a sales process, better. And then I think the other big thing is better handoffs when you're moving from department to department. Because usually the salesperson isn't necessarily the account manager. The account manager is then going to go talk to the people that need to deliver what the person sold. Well, now it's really easy to have a really good core document. When we see this, we have a lot of partner agencies that we white label work for, so they'll send over a work order and it's missing a lot of stuff. They just had a bunch of conversations with the client, then send it over, and we need this website, or we need this ad campaign run, but then I have to follow up and be like, okay, well, I still need these other details. So AI implementation can help with all of that. So I think what you're really seeing with your sales process is it becomes consistent, and when it becomes consistent, then it's measurable and improvable, which is nice. More structured, so same thing. You know what to expect, and you really need structure even in sales. I think a lot of people look at sales and go, it doesn't need structure. Some people are really good at sales, but the problem is if you don't have structure, you don't know what to fix. You don't know how to train your non-rock star salespeople, and you can't really hold people accountable if you're just go do it. Because then it does come down to luck and who got the warmer leads and right time, right place, and those things. And maybe you're overvaluing a salesperson that you shouldn't be without that. And then that last piece, which is those better handoffs, which is great for the client experience. They got through sales and now they're getting onboarded really smoothly. Everyone has the right information. That could be really frustrating too. I had an uncle in the hospital for a while, and every time somebody came in the room, I asked him the same questions. And he was, do people talk to each other ever? So it just added to this really stressful situation. The same thing with sales. What happens after you make a big purchase? Usually almost immediately you have regret. Oh, should I have done that? That happens to almost everybody. So if you then have a bad onboarding process or a disorganized onboarding process, that's really going to hurt your refund rate, the people that get through your stuff that actually use your product. So all of those things can really help your sales process, and all of those can be implemented with AI.
Exactly. And then what happens to administrative work after AI is implemented?
Yeah, so the nice thing with that is if you have great administrative employees, you can magnify them. So they're not working weird, crazy hours anymore. They're not missing phone calls. They're not missing emails. If you can only afford to have one rock star receptionist, cool, but now she can act as if she's 3 or 4 with the help of AI, magnifying the things she's really good at. If you don't have that, if you're a small business owner that doesn't have any of that, you can get your nights and weekends back. AI can help you answer those emails faster, answer those phone calls faster, get your proposals done faster. That was a huge one for me. Was we do a lot of product-based sales in one of our brands. So it's website package, website SEO package, whatever. But one of our brands, we do a lot of custom proposals. And by the time I did the research on the company and put the proposal together, it was so time consuming. But now I've just trained a GPT and I'm like, here's a research GPT, here's a proposal GPT. I'm going to give you this. You're going to give me my proposal. These are the parameters to follow. And then I just have to do some quick editing. So it's a whole new world from what used to literally take me hours and hours to now maybe it's 15 minutes most of the time, unless it's something really weird. So I think getting your time back because of things like that. And if you really want to implement AI plus automation, you can get almost all that off your back. So I really think that's what the big thing is with administrative work is you can either run a small team and do big things, or if you're a solopreneur or a tradesperson that started your business and you're not ready or you haven't hired someone to help you with the administrative work yet, you don't have to give up all your free time on redundant stuff that isn't your skill set. If you're a painter or you're an HVAC specialist or a plumber, your specialty is not necessarily writing up the proposals or dealing with customers all the time or trying to sell people. So being able to pass that off either to one single employee that can now act several, or just getting it off your plate, I think is the biggest thing. So talk about buying your time back and time freedom. I think that's the biggest effect AI has on administrative work.
Yeah, I'm thinking of how much easier my job. I used to be an executive assistant in my 20s, but I'm all the software now. It would have been so much easier to be an EA.
Yeah, now it's you always have your own assistant. That's the thing. So you still got to review emails. It's not perfect. You still got to review things when they go out, but you don't have to come up with it all by yourself and think of all the ideas by yourself. You don't have to do the research. You don't have to go back and look into all the earlier client communications you had before you enter an email. It's really easy to just get all that, which is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then how does customer communication change before and after AI?
Yes, I mean, if you're not using AI, then even if you're using CRM or automation, it's still all these manual emails or texts, or it's one size fit all automation that doesn't actually fit everybody. We've all gotten those texts before where we're like, why am I getting this? This doesn't make sense to me. I got an automated invite to a super moms group today is a good example. And I messaged to the person I knew and I was, yeah, so I don't think the super moms group wants me. Call me crazy, but, and obviously they just went and hit invite all, which happens. And that's the same thing that happens with business automations. When you send out an email blast and you don't segregate your list, you end up sending everybody the same thing. And sometimes it really, really doesn't fit. So you had that. You probably had issues with timely responses we talked about before. I certainly know in my area, getting people to call you back can be a real thing sometimes, especially these smaller businesses and especially smaller trades businesses where the owner's still doing the work. I think that can really be an issue. So when you start implementing AI, obviously you can get a lot of that taken care of. So now your emails and texts can be both automated and in your voice because an AI that you train on your voice and how you talk to people and to reference the right material can sit there and write these better messages. Your speed improves. You can respond much faster. You have voice AI that can answer your phone. Voice AI can even call people back at this point if you want to. Chats and messages can all be AI powered. And as long as you're training up front, again, we're using that good intern, good employee dynamic where they need that training and they need those reference points and you can't just go out there and expect it to do well. But if you're doing those things, you can really improve a lot of that overall customer communication. It gets faster, it gets better. People aren't waiting as long, they're not getting frustrated. And then you just always implement the ability to bring a human in whenever it's needed. And frankly, in some cases, you don't want AI even up front because if it's a very sensitive thing, you don't want AI dealing with emotions or high level thought. I really can't handle that. You don't want it taking sensitive information, banking info or medical info. In some cases, you would leverage AI in different ways to automate having people receive forms or get a calendar link or whatever if you're in some of those more sensitive areas. But if nothing else, it allows someone to know, hey, at least they know I called, they got to talk to something, and they got my information and it answered my questions. And a human will call me back later, or I can wait on hold for a human or whatever. But I think the biggest thing is just that speed and organization where there's no more just dropping people or not answering the phone or making people wait 3 or 4 days to answer a basic question where they usually move on. We can get past all of that, which is good for everybody. It's good for the customer. They get to find out faster if you're the right person to do business with. And it's good for you. You're going to close a lot more of these people that reach out to you faster and better that way because they're not sitting there wondering if they should look for a different option.
Perfect. And then what changes in how marketing gets executed?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, marketing is what we do the most of. We run marketing agencies, so we see this with business owners a lot. Typically, marketing from a small business is very sporadic. It's here and there when they think about it, or when business gets slow, all of a sudden, oh, we need to post social media, or we need to do an email blast, or put up a blog, or it's not at all. In a lot of cases, it's also people have 10,000 people on their email list and they've never sent them an email. I was talking to somebody the other day and they're doing a market right now to try and get more leads. And they had a 3,000 customer email list that they've never sent an email to asking for Do you need more services? Do you have a referral? Do you have anything? Well, there's your best ROI right there. Start with that and see what happens. So I think that more consistency, and I think more consistency because AI gives you two things. It makes you a little more confident that what you're putting out there is good. Because me, I'm not a graphic designer. Part of the reason I didn't do social media before was because I'm not really good at editing photos. I'm not really good at designing pictures. I think I am decent at writing content, but long form content doesn't translate well on social media. So once AI came out, I was like, hey, we can help you make some interesting images or quick videos or fill in that gap that you have so I don't have to bother the people on my team that are already busy or hire someone just to take care of my brand, which a lot of ways could make sense, but it's just one of those things I think we struggle with sometimes to be, oh, I'm going to hire somebody just to put me out there more. I think that really that comes helpful. So you get that confidence and then also time savings. So before you probably thought you couldn't do it, and then you also probably thought it just took too long, which partially was because you didn't know how to do it. So AI can fix both of those issues where it's like, okay, now you have a tool that can help you come up with ideas quickly, help you craft posts easily, help you come up with the imagery or the video or whatever you need quickly, and even help you post it quickly. So I think it really kills those two big problems that a lot of people have with internal marketing issues. And then I think really speeding up research is a big one, especially for search marketing. A big piece of it up front is research. Also, really Google Ads front, you want to do a decent amount of competitor and keyword research, which overall just speeds up your testing cycle. So you can research faster, come up with headlines and hooks faster, and then test them faster to figure out what's working and what's not, and then go back and iterate and improve. So I think those are the biggest pieces of marketing execution is more consistency, more confidence, and faster speed, all of which are really good things for marketing your business.
Amazing. And then how does decision making improve with AI in place?
Yes. So I think for a lot of business owners, decision making is either gut driven or a random trusted source driven. It's either you think you know what to do, or you've got this friend or this cousin or this company you buy data from that maybe is good or maybe isn't good. But you're not typically taking time to actually do research or analyze data because it takes too long. And then no normal small business owner is hiring a research person or department unless you're a law firm, but even then, obviously, you're bigger. So I think that's one of the big ones is you can actually drive decisions with useful data and not have to go line by line through a financial statement or something like that. So you have a lot less of those, I think, or this is how I feel moments. And I think that benefits everybody and also makes it easier to justify your decisions to your teams, your partners, whatever. There's no more of this, hey, it's just my gut. And we all know someone that's amazing. They come up with really great ideas, but they're few and far between. And really, I think those people just analyze data faster than most people when it comes down to it. So now we all have that ability to say, hey, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever your tool of choice is, here are the numbers, or go research the top 5 competitors in this industry, or go see if this product exists or will do well. I have a custom GPT just for analyzing business ideas to say, should I even proceed with this? And it goes out and does all the pieces of that, and it does it all automatically. I just give it one piece of information, and 5 minutes later, it scored it all out based on all the different parameters for that. So I think that's really the biggest thing is everyone has their own analyst and data department now with the help of AI. So you can just make smarter, more educated decisions much more quickly. I mean, you don't have to use your gut. If you only trust your gut, keep going with it. If it's working for you, great. But for a lot of people, they need more information, a little help, and AI can provide that.
Okay, this is why, and help you make that.
Yeah, well, and I think we all on some level want that. I think a lot of small business owners have anxiety because they feel they're flying by the seat of their pants. They can't afford the team of experts. And I think in the back of a lot of small business owners' minds are always, am I doing taxes right? Am I making the right decision? Am I investing my money right? Is this going to hurt me or help me? Or am I going to get through the season? And they got payroll stresses and family stresses. And I think it's just, again, the great thing about AI is we all can have assistants in areas that only big companies had before. So it's really leveling the playing field for all these different pieces where now you can have this team of assistants. There's not a lot of AI super experts out there yet, which is why you want to use AI to magnify the experts and the great employees you do have. But at the same time, for smaller research things that you would never hire somebody for, but maybe should have if you could, now you got that, and it's not expensive and it's super fast. and it's fairly accurate. AI is not hallucinating as much as it used to. And it's also, if you really care, there's perplexity out there that'll literally give you the citation. So if you're in a situation where it's any research, you need to make sure it's not making stuff up. You can have AI check AI, or you can go to a perplexity that'll give you citations and then check those citations. So again, it's really useful for all these different things.
Wow. I wish I had that in college. We had to cite everything we use in all our research papers, and it's crazy that now they could just pull up the
Yeah, I'm probably older than you, but I had that.
easier.
And I remember high school one time for AP English, I was literally writing out the bibliography by hand because I had done it at home and printed it, but I had a ninth period and I hadn't finished it yet. So I was okay, I'm just going to write it, but during the day. And I literally hand wrote it. I had to have my
Yeah.
22 sources or whatever written out in this bibliography that I just
Yeah,
didn't have time to type up and print at home. So
exactly.
definitely helps with those things.
Different. Yeah. Yeah. And then how does workflow visibility change after implementation?
Yes, like we talked about, ideally with AI, you have good processes in place already. Ideally, without AI, you have good processes in place already. Otherwise, your business is going to struggle to grow, your employees are going to struggle to thrive. But if you don't have that, first of all, AI can help you make them. But in order to use AI, you have to get them. So now you don't have this tribal knowledge anymore where everyone has their little pocket and knows what they're doing. There's black boxing, which really gets businesses in trouble. Now you can program and train and create these processors and have this software that can sit there and run it for you and double check it for you and make sure that everyone understands. And it's really easy now to make these master information compendiums. So it's really easy to dump all your knowledge into one thing and then just be able to ask AI questions. What's this policy? What should we do when this happens? And you can make that all just from your internal information. So it's not roaming the internet. So I think the big thing is you now have a consistent knowledge base that anyone can reference, which is really critical because small business owners, they have to hire and trust people, but sometimes those people quit. Sometimes those people shouldn't have been trusted. Sometimes those people just make bad mistakes and you have to let them move on. And then you lose this whole knowledge base because you never documented it, or maybe they created it in a way that only they understand. So it's much easier now to sit there and go, okay, everybody, we're going to screen grab, or you're going to talk to AI and explain to it what you're doing, and we're going to create these processes. So at least we always have this reference material. And really for scale, it's hard to scale your business if you don't have that, because one person can only handle so much. And typically if you have a rock star that's handling everything, the problem is they don't just handle what they're really good at. Everyone starts coming to them. They're the rock star. So everyone's like, hey, also do this, also do that, also do that. And they get bogged down. So if you don't have the ability to easily get them help, you don't even understand what they're doing, it can be really difficult. I think that was a Unicorn Project was a really good book that talked about some things like that with some process issues. I think it was a computer programming business or something, but that was their underlying thing, was this company had this huge bottleneck because there was one rock star that everybody went to, and nothing could get past this person until they started segregating and pulling it out. So I think AI really helps you do that, especially because you can create these knowledge bases and then have conversations with AI to help you create the strategy and help you easily document it. Again, even set it up so you can just have an AI people can ask questions to, which makes your business easier to grow, makes it more saleable too. If you don't want to be in your business forever, you have to have something to sell besides you. So if your business is you and a bunch of good employees that all have their little tribal knowledge, and you ever want to sell or grow or take on a partner, there's nothing to show. AI can really get you set up for that. So it's like, here is our business, here are our processes, here's how we make money, here's how we execute, here's all the things that an investor or a bank or whatever would need to know, or a buyer. And then the big thing there is it also just makes it easier to delegate. So if someone is sick or someone is hurt or someone has a problem and they're the only person that does X, Y, and Z, you're not so stuck. You're not going through a 500-page manual anymore going, wait, how do they do this? I don't know how to do this. You have your Jane bot because Jane's your rock star. And Jane's taught her about everything she knows. So you can go in there and go, okay, hey, Jane bot, Jane's sick today and we need to get the TPS reports. How do I do that? And it could just tell you rather than you having to try to figure out someone else's job right then. So I think those are the big things with workflow visibility. It'll help you actually get them. If you don't have them, if you do have them, it'll help you implement them. It'll make sure they're all documented and make sure they're good, because AI will come in and either start breaking stuff or tell you, hey, this doesn't make a lot of sense. And then it really improves delegation, expansion, and employee assistance and filling in for people.
And then how do response time expectations shift before versus after AI?
Yeah, so I think externally we already have these expectations where people think you're supposed to respond to them immediately or they'll just move on to the next one. So I think we can just take that out of the conversation at this point. People expect everything instantly, whether you get it or not or want to believe it or not. People want to know, they want an answer now as soon as possible. Internally, that helps you actually get closer to that or even reach that. So before they had, well, hours, days, depending. I think I told you my chimney sweep guy that took 5 days to answer me the first time. And then I called him back and it took 4 more days to answer him. And if he wasn't the only game in town, I definitely would have moved on by then. But I think, can get that down to, okay, at a minimum, we do use AI to answer our phones on most of our brands. But one of our brands, I just do what's called missed call text back, which is anytime I don't get a call, it immediately sends a text. It's like, hey, this is Sean. I'm really sorry I missed your call. How can I help? And people respond really well to that because they get this immediate text. They've been acknowledged right away. And we've closed several deals because someone's just written back and been, hey, I just want to talk to you about an ad campaign or a website or setting up AI for my business. Just call me when you get a chance. And either I can answer or the AI can answer to say, sure, I will call you in an hour or 2 hours or whatever. But that's all it takes. Just an acknowledgement counts as that fast response. People don't always expect you to be able to help them immediately. They just want to know that you're aware of them, that you're going to call them back, you're trying to do something for them, whatever. And then I think because customers are already expecting that, they notice the businesses that are doing that. I talked about the young woman that mentioned the restaurant. Now she's, well, if I need to make a reservation at a nicer restaurant and I can't wait until 4 p.m. or I can't wait until Tuesday, it's Sunday and they don't open Sunday and Monday, this is the restaurant in town that I can make a reservation any day. So they now have this huge benefit that a customer has noticed, and a customer is now more loyal to them because if they want to run a business dinner or they want to take out friends or they want to have a special occasion, they know it's the one place that they can be sure they can get a reservation or not immediately. So it's going to be the first on their list. So I think those are the big things is your customers already expect you to figure it out how to at least acknowledge them immediately. So internally, you need to get to that place and hopefully even a little bit beyond. Maybe let people do the things that they want to do any time of day by talking it through with somebody that has access to basic things, calendars or documentation. Or I think we just did an Airbnb business that was 30 locations, and all we did was they already had a Google Sheet for each property with all the things, and we just fed the Google Sheets to the AI, and now it can answer any question. So if someone calls anytime for this company and all 30 of their properties, it knows which ones are pet friendly, which ones have waterfront views, which ones have coffee machines, which ones don't, which ones have yards, blah, blah, blah. So I mean, imagine what that is if you want to be in that business and you want to answer your phone 24 hours a day. Because especially with Airbnbs, you don't know where people are coming from. They're coming from a different country, they're coming from a different time zone. They might need to make that call then. So we're just more able to meet the needs and the expectations of people when it comes to response times through AI. Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is, especially small business owners, they get tied up so much in operations and so much in putting out fires, especially if they don't have good systems in place already. So again, there's this huge tie-in between having good systems in your business and AI, and you need both. So if you already had great systems in place, you probably have gotten rid of some of this, but AI can amplify it for you. But first, you're not doing everything. You're not answering every single question. You're not the only one that knows everything about the business. You're not the only one that knows the important things about the business or how to access them. You're not the only one that can approve things necessarily because you put these good systems in place. Now you're really just creating strategies and overseeing the focus of your business rather than being down in the trenches and spending your weekends bookkeeping and paying invoices and checking your financial statements and seeing where your sales are at and checking customer reviews or all these little things that business owners get caught up in. You can now at a minimum make much, much faster. But in a lot of situations, you can basically completely take off your plate. When we talk about reviews, it's not really easy to have a dashboard that analyzes your reviews, tells you the sentiment, answers the reviews for you, responds to them. The tool we use will not only respond to that, it will automatically post it on the website. It'll then turn it into a social media post and automatically post it to your social media channel. So all these things most business owners would want to do with good reviews can now be done with automation and AI. So I think that's the big thing is now you can really sit there and just come up with good strategies and things that are important to your business and get a lot of help with execution and implementation that you could have only gotten before by hiring a big team. And obviously with small businesses, we don't always have that option to hire that big team, not only for the cost, but the time investment of training people, onboarding people and giving what they need and buying the tools they need and everything else. Now for these situations that are not frequent, that are not super recurring, or that are just mundane and always recurring, you can now use AI to take care of some of that. So it's the biggest shift for small teams. I think what we talked about before, there's a lot of task juggling. Everybody's doing everything, especially with small teams. There's that tendency to chip in, especially when it's a young business. They haven't clarified roles or systems yet. So they're coming in, and you've got that ability to define those, especially with AI, and supplement those. So you don't have to have everybody running off to do little things. You can use AI to supplement that. And because of that, it gives you more role clarity, because you have to create these roles for AI to function effectively and these processes. So now it's really easy to also clarify those with your team, which is great, especially on young businesses, small businesses. A lot of times team members do, what even is my job? I just feel like I work all the time, and I'm not even sure what it is, or they don't feel like they have the title that goes with their job, or there's some disconnect there that you can really take care of when you start implementing AI in these systems. You have to clarify all that, because AI is not going to understand it if you don't. And the big thing that also comes from that is less burnout. You're not asking people to do things that aren't in their skill set, that distract them or kill their concentration in the middle of the day. Now they're running off to do something that they only do once a month because it's an emergency that could have been turned into an easy process to hand off to something else. So I think those are the big things, is you've got less task juggling, less parallel processing, less distraction. I think every study now has shown that being able to juggle a bunch of things isn't actually a huge benefit. It's usually a detriment to most people, even though we used to think it was the greatest thing ever. That clarity of roles, which is really important to your business either way, and then just preventing burnout for you as the owner, for your employees, because you can magnify yourself, they can magnify themselves, and get all the things you probably need done as a small business owner at the basically at a much bigger team that you can't justify buying and training and paying and onboarding.
Perfect. You almost made it the whole time without me getting kicked out.
Better than
I've made it
usual.
to last. Yeah, I know. Did you go to the small shifts for teams
I
one?
did, yeah. That's the one I just
Okay,
used.
yeah. That's what it sounded perfect. And then how does onboarding new staff change with AI supported systems?
Yeah, so I think this is a really good one, because if you've ever been trained as a new employee before, especially in a small business, half the time there's either no documentation or there's confusing documentation. And what they do is they put you with their best person. Well, usually their best person doesn't want to be bothered with you. They want to do their work. They're the best person. And so you get this situation where you're being trained by somebody that A, probably doesn't want to train you fully. They might see you as a threat. B, they're frustrated and annoyed because you're getting in the way of their work, or maybe they're just having a bad day, or all the things that can happen when you're human. And then you've probably got this bad employee kit that covers all the legal things you want them to know, but doesn't actually teach them how to do their job. So now we can create SOPs and knowledge bases where people can come in and ask questions. Or we look at the Notebook LLM, where you can put in your whole knowledge base and employee manual. And now you've instantly got flashcards and podcasts and videos and mind maps and 17 different ways someone can learn a new job with one tool. And we're not dependent on a person being able to communicate with them the right way, speaking their language, or not worried about them having a bad day or stressing out or scaring them off, which honestly is another thing, especially for small businesses. If you're looking at restaurants or manual labor jobs or home services, you get the grumpy old veteran bartender or plumber guy that's there, and he's training this young kid that he sees as an annoying threat. He's not going to do a great job, and frankly, he might even scare that person off that could have been a decent employee had they been given somebody with less issues. So I think that all adds up to a faster ramp up, a better onboarding situation. And then they also have these ongoing tools, because the other side of that is usually then you get 5, 6 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, depending on the industry, and then you're thrown out there. They just keep calling that person that trained you. They don't always answer the phone. Sometimes they're going to get annoyed. Well, instead of that, now you have this knowledge base that someone's created with AI, and you can just pull it up on your phone and go, okay, here's my custom GPT. What am I supposed to do when this happens again? What's the process for this? What's the next step here? And they've got that in their pocket all the time. And you don't have to worry about whether someone's available or having a bad day. They can just go out and do their job faster and more effectively.
Perfect. And then what happens to errors and inconsistencies after automation?
Yeah, so none of us are going to pretend that AI is perfect. It's gotten so much better. It still makes up things. It still has some errors and inconsistencies itself, but it's the self-driving cars. Do they crash? Of course. but do they still crash at 1/1000th the rate of a human? Yeah. So it's they come in and they're going to help you reduce these errors and inconsistencies you have. So before, if you had typos or frequent mistakes, or you're balancing checking accounts, or you can't figure out why or what the problem is, or you need to put a good report together and pull this different data in, but because you're pulling data from 10 different sources and it's taking a month, it's really easy to make a small error there that creates a big problem. All those things can kind of go away with the use of AI helping you do research and helping check your work. And you can feed it things when they're done and say, hey, does this look right? Have you seen anything weird? And it's just a second pair of eyes that's really good at researching and checking things. So the other side of that is I think you get more standardized outputs. So rather than everybody doing their own thing, we talked about training, in a small business especially, you get big personalities that think their way is the best way. Now you can have this AI oversight or this AI support that can come in and say, okay, well, this is the way we're really supposed to do it. Or I was talking about before, now he has a 6-step process, even for himself, to keep himself in check. So he knows every time he's talking to a customer, these are the things he's going to do. These are the things that are going to help his business. And he always is going to do those things. And then I think just overall quality assurance becomes so much easier because you do have this basically a specialist at checking things for inconsistencies, at research, at data analysis that you can bring in for pennies. That can always just come in and double check anything you're doing, whether that's putting together a report or how you're talking to customers on the phone or your sales process, and just give you that extra set of eyes, if you want to call it that, to analyze whatever you have and come up with quick reports and quick tips and just make sure that what you're putting out is quality when you think it's a finished product. So for me, I have an uncle that's in advertising, or I have other people that I trust in the business, and sometimes I just finish up something like, hey, just check this for me before I send the client. Now you have that internally. So I think that's that other big thing, is just easier quality assurance. You've got a lot less mistakes, easy things slipping through the cracks. And then you've got more standardized outputs, which is really what a business needs to have. It needs to have those. People expect to get the same answer and the same product and the same quality every time they go to a business, and this can really help with that.
Perfect. Okay. I do one more. Then I'll upload. That was okay. So how does scaling feel different before versus after AI?
Yeah, so I think the big thing is, especially if you're small and you're trying to grow, and like I talked about before, most small business owners that get into it are good at one thing. They don't understand everything about business. How could you? So when you're trying to grow, I think you're always having to balance that. I don't know enough about marketing. I don't know enough about sales. I don't know enough about taxes. I don't know enough about finance and borrowing. Am I even profitable? You'd be amazed how many businesses I go into that aren't even profitable and don't realize that they're just kicking the football down the field. Or are they profitable once they start growing? They burn out expenses for that, and that causes a problem. So I think without AI or without a team of specialists, which a lot of small business owners don't have, it felt riskier and more stressful. But now you can go in and say, okay, based on our sales numbers, where should we focus next? Or based on our market, can you give me some ideas for what I should look at next? Or can you validate this idea I have for expanding? Or based on our numbers in our team, should we add another salesperson? Should we add another person that can execute, another worker? And that'll just makes it a little more predictable and controlled, and really brings down your stress levels. And I say stress people make stress decisions. So the last thing you want to do is think about growing your business, get really anxious about it, and then go, okay, this is what I'm doing, while you're really anxious and stressed, because you definitely did not just make the best decision for your business when you did that. So yeah, I can take a piece of that away and give you some of that reassurance and some extra information and data. And then I think the other big thing is just, you can scale your systems before you bring in new people, and that lets you test some things. So if we're talking about marketing and okay, we want to spend more money on ads, well, it's really easy to test those out with the use of AI before bringing in an ad buyer. And that way, when you bring in your ad buyer, okay, we already tested our systems. We know our hooks. We know our keywords. We just want you to implement it and iterate and make it better. You're not starting from scratch, which happens in my industry. I've got someone right now I'm talking to. It's a startup, and they've never sold anything online. Well, that's a huge start. You've got a brand new product. You've never successfully sold it online. You've got some competitors, but not enough that can help you do research. But you're starting from scratch at that point. Whereas if someone came and they're like, okay, I've already got the keyword research done. I've already got my competitors done. We already know the niche we're going into. We already know the offers we're going to make. And you're just refining. That can really make a big difference for whether it's marketing or sales or execution or whatever. So I think those are the biggest things when using AI for scaling is it gives you that extra confidence. It lets you test things out ahead of time with systems before you have to add people. And everything is a little less stressful because you have this advisor in your back pocket that knows your business, that you're trained about your business, that can make reasonable assessments of your business and never has a bad day.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.